what a win for LSU. What a morale win. What a win practically. I mean, huge for this fan base, huge for this program, huge for Brian Kelly to get that monkey off of his back. LSU's first season opening win since 2019. Let's talk about it. Now, you see that scoreboard and you see LSU 17, Clemson 10. It was a one-possession game. I think that LSU dominated this game way more than the scoreboard shows. And I'm going to put this into perspective, okay? You take away a fumble by Bauer Sharp at the beginning of the game. You take away an LSU missed fourth down conversion in which they had it in the red zone. You take away an overturned touchdown to Barry and Brown, which, you know, not to get in the weeds here, but you could have easily made that call stand. The score is 31-7. Just something to keep in mind. And this is why, this right here is the kicker as to why I'm so optimistic about LSU. Heck, more optimistic about LSU than I am probably anybody at this point, because this is going to be one of those years where a B-plus team might win the whole thing and stumble backwards into a championship. Because as I've talked about before, there is no Saban Alabama. There is not that overpowered Kirby team. Doesn't seem to be the case this year at Georgia. Ohio State looked good. Even they have questions, though. This is why I'm so optimistic about LSU. We know Garrett Nussmeier can take over a game and win it by himself. Just look at the Ole Miss game, Vandy, Baylor. I know this is an odd call, but South Carolina as well threw for nearly 300 yards in that game. I'm not as concerned about their run game. I know they only put up 3.5 yards per carry. I know the run game was suspect last year. But Clemson, this is like, you know, the 3H model has this as the best defensive line in the country. Like, I probably expected them to struggle to run the ball at least a little bit against them. But here is the kicker. LSU allowed the 13th least points per game in the SEC last year. Still won 9 games. So what does that mean? The defense was clearly holding them back. Let's just call a spade a spade. The defense was not up to the LSU standard last year. And Blake Baker or Brian Kelly would be the first person to admit that to you. So what do they do? What does LSU do? They bring in 16 new transfers, the number 1 overall rated transfer class according to 247, and 7 of their 11 starters on defense are transfers. Clemson, for context, was 10th in Power 4 scoring. They returned the most production in the FBS, and LSU on the road, Saturday Night Football on ABC in a hostile environment, holds Clemson to 10 points. Cade Klubnik has just as many incompletions as he does completions for the game. Mind I tell you, this is a guy that's mocked in the first round in darn near every mock draft. And Clemson, this is a stat. This is what I call an identity stat right here. Clemson had 19 carries for 32 yards as a team. Do the math, 1.7 yard. Not even yards, yard per carry. Here's why this is so interesting. In the past, LSU has only been able to win football games one way since Joe Burrow left. They've had to win in a shootout, whether that be with Jaden Daniels or Garrett Nussmeier. You have Jaden Daniels and Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, and you go 9-3. That team last year going 8-4. Why do you think they went 8-4? So this was a major breath of fresh air for LSU fans. Not just because Brian Kelly got that monkey off his back, but because LSU did something that they haven't done since 2019. They won a game because of their defense. So you know what that tells me? They check a ton of boxes. They have a game changer at quarterback and Nussmeier. But this defense was everywhere on Saturday. Everywhere on Saturday. And some of these newcomers, some of these guys, they did not have last year. Mansour Delane, a transfer from Virginia Tech, was targeted 8 times on Saturday. He gave up just 1 catch. They sure as heck didn't have that last year. Bernard Gooden, 4 QB hurries. He's a newcomer. Cade Klubnik was under pressure a lot on Saturday. Well, A lot of that was because of him. So LSU is so intriguing to me because they can now win games in way more ways than just Garrett Nussmeier. And, there were some questions about the receiving core as to who was going to emerge. Because, you lose Kyron Lacey, God rest his soul. You lose some others. Aaron Anderson, welcome to the Blitnikoff conversation. Holy moly. 6 catches, 99 yards, 8 targets, and 9.3 yards after catch per reception. And in a lot of instances there, he was covered by Avion Terrell, which those of you that don't know, Avion Terrell is a projected first-round pick in a lot of mock drafts for good reason, for very good reason. So Aaron Anderson seems to be that alpha in the receiving room. We know how good Garrett Nussmeier is. And Nussmeier, look, the only issue that you could say with Nuss is he would try to play hero ball at times last year, and he had to because of that defense. And, whether it be against Florida or even Bama at the start, Texas A&M is a huge one where he would just try to do too much. And LSU would pass the ball so many times because they were in a shootout. Their defense was giving points. They couldn't run the ball. And Nussmeier would turn the ball over. He made some costly turnovers. 0 turnovers on Saturday. None. Not a single one. 0 adjusted interceptions as well. This is a guy who had 18 turnover-worthy plays last year, according to PFF. Turnover-free football from Nussmeier. Receiving room looks the part. Defense looks so improved. And the year 1 to year 2 leap with Blake Baker is massive. Because I've explained this with other teams in the past, but year 1, it's a new system. You're practically a rookie. You're starting in elementary school. Now, year 2, the foundation is there in the players. So you get to institute a little bit more concepts, make things a little bit more cute, more challenging for the offense, add some complexities in there, and now all of a sudden, people are learning faster and people are catching on and the chemistry develops. This defense has a sheer heck of a lot of talent. And looking at this schedule, man, they're favored in every single game, according to the 3HM. At Ole Miss, that's a close one. South Carolina, Texas A&M, at Alabama, which a lot of people would have penciled that in as a loss, which we'll get to Alabama later on. Bama has a lot of flaws, and a lot of flaws that LSU does not have right now. Now, that being said, it's later in the season. Alabama could easily reach their potential by then, and that might be a different conversation. But right now, looks intriguing. At Oklahoma as well. They avoid both Georgia and Texas, which is huge. So yeah, the 3HM has LSU favored in every single game. And the reason why I'm so intrigued at what LSU can be and why I believe that they are a legitimate national championship contender, they're in the thick of it, is because this team can do something that no LSU team has been able to do since Joe Burrow was there. Win a football game in a lot of different ways.